Hey there, everybody. We are live today talking about the subject what spirits can and cannot do for us. Okay, so you're in the right place if that's what you wanting to hear about today. We're talking about that, and we're going to talk about what they can and cannot do. But first, before I even get into that, I want to kind of make it clear that every spirit on the other side is unique, just like every one of you is unique, right? We're all unique. So, what does that mean? It means the spirit of your loved one on the other side has its own abilities that may make it easier for them to come through to you or make it more challenging that they need to learn how to do that. Most of them do need to learn. It's not something that is automatic. Okay. So, given that, okay, they're all at different levels because as spirits, as a soul, spirit is the part of them that you interacted with when they're in a body. It's just part of their soul, the part that you're familiar with. Their soul is expanded them. Okay, and it contains other, let's say, personality constructs that they have taken on living in congruent lifetimes. That's a whole other subject that we have talked about a little bit before. We go more into that in our academy programs so people understand the nature of existence. It's really important to understand that because then you'll know what to expect and what you can't expect. But that's why we're going to talk about it today, right? Like what can they do and what is difficult for them. But they're all different. You're different. Okay, so you're unique, they're unique. And guess what? Your relationship together, that's unique, right? It's co-created. It's not just all on them to reach out to us. We have to raise our frequency to be able to meet them kind of halfway, although that's not quite accurate. It's not really like 50%, but it just gives you an idea if that you have to rise up in your vibration, rise up in your frequency. And so you might ask, well, how do I do that? What is that about? That sounds rather vague, right? Like, what do you mean, raise my frequency? Well, there's no way around it. You have to be who you truly are and not be running limiting negative beliefs that lower your vibration, that keep you from being all that you are, which who you truly are, which would automatically lift your vibration. Okay, you cannot replace that with classes or mantras, meditating for days and days. None of that is going to raise your frequency. It is about being your true self. That's it. That's it. That's why we say this is about spiritual development. Okay, so if you have zeroed out your limiting beliefs, if you are living as your true authentic self, then your vibration will be as high as possible. And therefore, you can reach further through the veil and connect with your loved one, connect with guides and angels. It's just easier, right? And they need to learn too. But why should they learn to project through the veil if no one in a body is doing their part to raise your vibration? Okay, and I'm not saying that they're not going to try because they do, but this is a co-created relationship, just like what you had when they were here. You co-create all your relationships. That's just the definition of relationships. You don't just have your relationship with them like separate from them. You commingle your energies, let's say. You share things, energies, your beliefs, you influence each other and all that. So you have to understand kind of the physics of this, right? So what can they do for us? It's actually quite amazing. I'm going to go through it with you, right? But there's a lot they can do for us. So let's take it one step at a time. And I'm going to start with this, right? They can guide and support us, right? Spirit guides are actually beings that were once in a body. It could be someone, it's an ancestor. It could be another entity, another being that had existed in a body before. Generally speaking, spirit guides were once physical. And so, of course, your loved one will be happy to guide you to the best of their ability. Of course, it depends on their background, right? It depends on how evolved they are. Are they a specialist in that area? So, for example, if your loved one was really great with art, like painting, right? They could come through and help you paint. I know I have a friend whose loved one did that, came through and helped her learn how to paint, and she was so thrilled to feel him guiding her and helping her so that she could explore painting, right? So they can act like a spirit guide and, of course, support us, emotionally encourage us, and all of that, that they absolutely can do. But again, it depends on their their background, like what can they actually help you with that? Because Alan is saying to me, but they're not going to help you with something that they have no clue how to do. Like they're not going to, if they know how to do something, or he says maybe have learned how to do something, they could come through and support you with that. Okay, guide you with that. Okay, the other thing that they do, I think that's quite remarkable, is they can help us heal ourselves if it's appropriate. So let me kind of break this down a little bit for you. They can help us heal ourselves. When I say that, what I mean by that is that all healing is self-healing. No one can actually heal anybody. Let's get that straight. What a healer is doing is offering a powerful signal, powerful vibration. And that person that they're working with, that they're attempting to heal, will either match that vibration and rise up and perhaps heal their condition or improve, the condition. But they can just as easily, if they chose, to reject the healing. And some people, believe it or not, actually do that. They actually believe deep down inside that they can't be healed. And so they go to a healer just to prove to everybody, well, look, see, I can't heal. I went to that healer and I can't heal. Because deep down inside, they may have a limiting belief that they will never heal, that it's impossible for them to heal. And they're going to prove themselves right. They're creating their experience. So a healer can only help us heal ourselves. They kind of help us get a boost, right? So your loved one can do that. Absolutely. I've heard countless stories of that from people. I know Alan has healed me of a number of things. He can't necessarily heal me of everything because there's some things that I maybe have to experience because I'm going to learn from that. So there could be something that you're struggling with right now and you feel you've asked for help from your guides or from your loved one, and you're wondering, why do I still have this condition? You need to look at what that might be, because the condition, whatever it is there for you to learn something from. It's happening for a reason. So if you've done everything you know to do, it's about tuning into that. Like, why am I holding on to this? Right. Now, that's why I said if it's appropriate to do so, like, is it appropriate for them to help you heal of that condition? Because it could be that there's a reason for it and they're not going to interfere with that. For example, I know people who've come into this life and suffered greatly. They had some condition that was very debilitating, maybe part of their life or all of their life. And you have to look everything at a case-by-case basis, but in some of these cases, it was clear that they were enduring their condition, their disease or condition, to teach those around them different things. It could be to teach them compassion. It could be to balance the scales karmically. And karma is not punishment. It's simply, actually, karma is action, like taking action. So we don't know why. We can't really understand it till you really look closely at it. But there are some cases where the person is not going to heal that disease. They're not going to overcome the condition. But if it is an option, then they can do that, and a guide or your loved one able to do that. I would say to you that all of us are healers. To be human, right, is and to be a part of all of creation means, of course, we're healers. And of course, because we heal ourselves. So how could we not heal ourselves if we're not all healers? We are all healers. When someone crosses to their side, now they step into their healing ability without any limiting thought or belief because they know who they are. So they become master healers, just like you are a master healer if you just accept that you are. It's as simple as that. All right, I'm a master healer. I can heal myself. I created this. I can discreate it if that's part of my soul plan. But again, if part of your soul plan was to have that condition, either permanently or for a time, for some reason, then you're going to have it, right? But again, you have to look at it case by case. There's no general rule with that, but spirit can heal us, and you can ask for that healing and see what happens. Your guides, and to some extent your loved ones too, they're not going to intervene unless you ask, because this is a free will universe. So you have to take initiative, right? You can't just sit there and go, well, they know I'm sick. Why aren't they healing me? Well, because you didn't ask. We're not going to assume anything's gone wrong. And they don't. They go, well, that's interesting. You've got cancer. That's interesting. Wow, fascinating journey you're on. And then if you go, well, I don't want this. Can you help me heal it? Oh, okay. We thought you were just wanting to explore this journey of cancer. So ask, and help will be given as appropriate. Okay, does that make sense? Now, here is something really amazing. They can immerse us in their love. Absolutely. However, there's a however here. It can be misinterpreted by our limiting negative beliefs about death and loss, which then filters that love. Oops, look at that. The screen just pulled back to emphasize that. So it's going to filter that love, and we're going to interpret that as grief. Now, I've talked about this before, but the reason that happens is because that love is so intense. It's like it just is so profound, more than the love that you ever felt for them when they were in a body. I promise you, it's on a whole other level. Unconditional love, it creates this state of awe, like, oh my God. So can you imagine if you were just in awe of something? It moved you so deeply that you cried, but you were not sad. You were just in awe of this grand experience, right? That is the depth of love that they have for us, especially, hear this out, especially when they've just left and you're in deep grief and they want so much to just tell you, I'm fine, I'm here, I love you, I'm never leaving you, that they are just bombarding you with love, right? This intense, unconditional love. Of course, you're going to cry. Of course, you're going to cry and then think, oh my God, they're gone. That's why I'm crying. Because you're probably thinking those thoughts. I know you are. I know I was. You're thinking thoughts like, oh, you're dead. You're gone. I'm never going to see you again. All of those thoughts, okay, those are beliefs that aren't necessarily true, because beliefs are just opinions. They're not facts. But if you believe they're dead, you believe they're gone, you believe you're never going to talk to them again, you believe that's it, of course you're going to feel devastated. And of course you're going to then kind of mistranslate this immense energy coming through to you that is so intense that makes you cry and think, yes, I see, I'm so in grief, I'm crying. And this is what's going on that most people do not understand. This is why Alan said to me when he came to me, he said, you need to cry, make room for that, because he knew that was my limiting belief, and I had to just kind of process it. Like, let it out, let it out, let it out, and then you'll notice that there's like a gap, and the love came in, like, because I stopped thinking like, oh, you're dead, you're gone, and they're going to see you again. And the moment I would just take a break, and because I knew what he meant, he said, if you cry, you'll make room for my love. I would go, okay, because I was expecting, right? This is important. I knew that he was sending me love. Most of you don't know that, but I knew that because he told me very clearly. And my guide said too, yes, it's love that you're feeling, but your beliefs are getting in the way. So I went, but I had to process it. You have to process it because you have to work through those beliefs. It just was faster for me because I've been on a spiritual path for, decades, but it was still challenging because I'm still human. So I had to process it. But the more I let go of the limiting negative belief, the more I could feel his love. And he kept saying to me, just cry, cry, then feel the love. Cry, feel the love. Right. And I would do that. And sometimes I felt like I was crazy. Like, what is this? Like, I'm feeling. And gradually I felt mostly love only. And right today, I don't even know what grief feels like. It took me about 9 months to just shift most of that grief, most of those limiting beliefs. Okay. But I want you to really ponder this, okay? Because if you're feeling grief right now, just let it out. I'm not saying suppress your emotion. You can't do that. That's not healthy. Let it out, cry, let it out, let it out. At some point, you're going to pause and take a breath. I know it. You can't cry 24/7 for the rest of your life. It's impossible. Try it. You can't be happy 24/7 for the well, maybe you can, but that would be better, but you certainly can't cry 24/7. So at some point you stop, even if it's just for 2 minutes. And so when you find a break, I want you to open up to feel the love that's there, because it is. It's always there. You just pinched yourself off from it for the moment. So if you do that, you'll start to understand, wait a minute, that I'm feeling this grief, it's coming from the belief that I am focusing upon. And so the first thing, if you want to have connection through the veil, is you've got to start changing that belief, dropping that belief, and opening up to the truth that, yes, you can have contact through the veil. Will it be the same? No. How can it be? They no longer have a physical body. It doesn't mean that your experience is going to be lesser than what you had when you were physical. I know that sounds impossible. Your physical mind is just going to argue for its limitations and say, well, no way, you're never going to be happy with that because it only knows the physical. So now your challenge becomes to identify more with your spirit, which isn't as hard as you may think, unless you choose to believe it's hard, then it will be. But it isn't really as difficult as you may think because you are a spirit. That's your natural state. And when I say this to you and you hear it, some part of you, if you were close enough in resonance to this truth, you will feel it, even if part of you is going, really? Some other greater part of you is going, yes, that is my truth. I'm a spirit who happens to have a body. And so the greater part of you knows who it is, knows that it can continue this relationship, knows that the relationship, while not physical, can be satisfying on a whole other level. But now your job, if you will, is to pursue your spiritual growth. If you insist that it be the same as it was, you're going to suffer because you're going against the current of your life. It's taking you in a higher direction. But that's your choice. You're welcome to it. Okay. You can either choose that this journey of reunion through the veil is going to be incredible. It's going to be fulfilling. It's going to be filled with love and adventure and joy and surprises. Or you can choose to believe that that's it and they're gone, or this journey will be less than what you would like, and pinch off your connection from them. You really only have two choices. Really, you do. You either go with the flow, which is already happening because they're on the other side. You can't like change that. You go with the flow of that journey and explore that with them as a spirit, or you go the other way. And that's okay. If you don't want to do it, you can't. I'm not trying to convince anybody to reach through the veil and continue a relationship. That might not be your soul's path. You will know if it is, because if this is for you, even if you've got concerns or fears or limiting beliefs, you feel just excited about it, not anxious, because I know some people who've joined me in this journey initially, and they were actually acting from anxiety. And because they chose this from anxiety, didn't work out very well for them. But if you're feeling this joy, this excitement, this passion bubble up within you, that is your higher self saying, yeah, this is for me. This is part of my soul plan. And even though it may be challenging, it probably will be challenging. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. You'll stay the course. The people who don't stay the course are the people for whom this isn't their journey. This isn't their soul calling them. They are coming from anxiety. And yes, you may be grieving, but you don't have to be in anxiety if you're grieving. Anxiety is like fear. Like you're just all like nervous and you're just like in panic mode. So just understand that they are immersing you in love. They always do that, right? There's only love on the other side. There's only love here too. It's just that you're kind of pinched off from it. That's it. But your limiting negative beliefs about death and loss are going to filter that love and turn it into grief. Okay. Really, grief, as we've said before on this channel, grief is basically a limiting negative belief because it's based on the idea, the belief that they're dead and that's it. And I'm not going to have contact. Or even if I do have contact, it's not going to be fulfilling. Of course, then you're going to grieve. You're going to say, well, this sucks and I'm never going to be happy again. That's your choice. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to live that way, because I'm not living that way. And I know other people who aren't either. So it is a choice. It is not an absolute truth. So what else can they do? They can connect with us through our imagination. And when I say connect, okay, I don't just mean like talking to us, although that happens. I don't just mean that we see them clairvoyantly, like either corner of our eye clairvoyantly, or even right in front of us, either like holographically or even 3D for a moment. All of that's possible. Physical contact, there are people I know that we're working with who are having physical contact. Physical, okay? You're probably sitting there going, how can that be? They don't have a body. Think of it this way. Have you ever had a dream that felt very physical? Physical, like I know I have, where I felt Alan's arms. I've had him kiss me, hold me, right? You can have contact that way. It can be in deep meditation. It can even be with eyes wide open and you feel them touch you. Okay. There are no limits to this, folks, except what you believe. That's it. And they have to learn. They have to learn. You have to raise your vibration. They have to learn. And you have to be sure you have zero, and I mean zero, limiting negative beliefs about what's possible. Most people have a lot to unpack in that department. That's why we created our program, to work people through it, because it takes time to work through it. Most people not going to process that on their own. That's just what I've observed. This is what I've observed. So just know that you can connect with them through your imagination, because that is the corridor, the passageway, the conduit between this physical world. I'm going like this because this horizontal 3D world, and up there. Up meaning it's not physically up, right? But vibrationally higher. So they're in a higher dimension. And we access it through our imagination. You can't access it here. You can't think logically with your logical physical mind and get to them. No, because that's only here. That's only horizontal. You got to go up. Everything you want is up. And so the way to access them is imagination. Now, how does imagination really work? It's what kind of just comes into your mind, like unbidden. Or even if you do ask a question, like, what could I do about XYZ? Like a problem or a question, or you've got something you're trying to figure out, what can I do about XYZ? Fill in the blank. And then what comes in? Maybe it comes in right that moment. Maybe it comes in while you're washing the dishes, you're brushing your teeth. I have this happen to me all the time. It's happened to me my whole life. So many ideas coming through my imagination from spirit world, now coming from Alan a lot of time. And I'll go, okay, there's so many ideas coming to me. I go, I got to keep writing them down and go, well, I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them, but it comes through your imagination. It comes through the corridor of imagination, not here. Cannot come through here. They're not here. They can connect with this on this level, but the communication, they're a higher vibration. Hope that makes sense to you. But that imagination, what comes through from our imagination, from the higher realms, from your higher self, is talking to your physical self. It's filtered by your beliefs. So your higher mind can be trying to tell you all kinds of things that, like, oh, you can do this and this would be wonderful. And yet, because your filters are just clogged with limiting beliefs, right? It's just like, well, I can't do that. Who am I? I'm unworthy. Life is hard. I never get a break. This is so unfair. My loved one died, and that was wrong of him. Why did all those limiting beliefs, all those distorted definitions, emotions you haven't processed are all filtering this higher guidance and information that's trying to come through to you. The minute you clear that, it starts to open up. The minute you clear that, it will just start coming in. You start to realize, wow, I know what I should do. It's like you don't have to overthink anything anymore. The reason why some of you are overthinking is because you've got so many limiting beliefs that you can't hear what the higher mind's trying to tell you. So you're trying to turn to the physical mind, who knows zero about what is best for you. It doesn't see the bigger picture. It's completely not psychic. So how can it guide you? How can it guide you? Impossible. It will never be able to tell you what's the best step for you to take. Don't try to expect it to do that, or you're going to get in trouble. And a lot of people have experienced that, got into trouble. Right? So you've got to clear your beliefs. Now, they can, on the other side, learn, refine, and strengthen their connection with us. But again, their work is only limited by our beliefs, our definitions of reality, and what our soul's plan is. So if our soul has a certain plan to do something, they may not override that, right? Even though they try. And I can't tell you what your soul plan is, but they will work with that, right? They'll work with that. So I'm not keeping track of the comments, guys. I'm just trying to kind of go through all this with you because I have a lot to cover. Okay, so let's talk about what they cannot do. What they cannot do. And really what it comes down to, what they cannot do, has more to do with the five laws of creation, which we'll cover at the very end. So you'll understand that's the only limitation of what they cannot do. So one thing they cannot do is change your destiny, because it was pre-planned by you, not by them, not by God. You're God. You're the one that planned out your destiny. So, for example, if part of your destiny is possibly to meet somebody else and be in that relationship, they're not going to be able to change that. Okay, you're going to meet that person. I'm not saying you will. I'm just saying this is a possibility for some people if that's part of their soul plan, they're part of their destiny. So they'll meet that person. Now, destiny is going to make sure you meet that person. Whether you decide to get involved, that's up to you. This is where free will comes in. Life is a mix of destiny and free will. You're going to meet them because that's given, that's baked in to your soul plan, one way or the other. If that was what you pre planned, you're going to meet them. You could still change your mind and say, you know what, I don't want to do this. I think I want to continue my relationship with my partner. That's your choice. Okay. But they're not going to like necessarily influence that really because at the time they may if you meet that person they may go, hey, choose me instead. I'm not saying they may not try, but they can't prevent that event happening. They cannot circumvent that. They can certainly try to convince you, like not to go down that road, and then that's your choice because it's just a plan. It's not like a contract, like a binding contract that now you're stuck with. It's like, well, you had to meet them. That was the destiny part. What you do now, up to you. Completely up to you. So I hope that's clear. Okay. They cannot override or change your limiting negative beliefs. Trust me, they wish they could because then it would make it so much easier for them to connect with you, for that you guys to have this amazing relationship. But that's your free will we're talking about here, and they are not going to get in the way of that. They may, Alan says, they may try to influence you, right, to for your better highest good, right? But they can't make you because they can't get in your head and make you think or believe what they would like you to think or believe. Like, how can they do that? I mean, Alan was always telling me certain things, like affirmations, like he's always saying, "It's all going to be, everything's going to be all right." In the very beginning, it's all going to work out. Everything's going to be all right. I go, okay. He was just trying to reassure me, like it's going to be okay, and everything's going to be all right, and you don't have to worry about whatever, and all those things. Okay, so he's trying to influence me, but in the end, it was always up to me. Well, am I going to go with that, or am I going to resist it? Am I going to think in the opposite way? It's down to me. Okay, but so they can't override that. How could they? And if you're experiencing that, like you're experiencing limiting negative beliefs, there's probably a reason why you need to experience that right now, and that's okay. The minute you realize, I'm tired of this, I don't want to do this anymore, you can do a 180 and go in another direction. Okay, really, it doesn't have to take long for that to happen. Okay. They cannot necessarily be omnipresent and aware of everything happening to us in real time. The reason I'm saying this one is because we had a student who was experiencing something very, let's just say, very passionate and incredibly deep and fulfilling with their partner, with their husband. And at the time that this was all happening, it was so intense, so profound, so beautiful. And she was feeling, of course, so positive and high, and it was just exhilarating that she came to find out that something negative had happened related to there being a plumbing incident, and it caused thousands of dollars of damage. Right. So I won't go into detail what it was, but she reached out to me and she said, how could that happen? Why didn't he tell me that this was happening while they're in this passionate, exhilarating experience? And I had to tune in. I had to ask spirit. And basically they said, sometimes the spirit on the other side, they can be so enthralled with what they're experiencing with us and may not have learned how to be that connected to us and yet also be aware, like what's going on 360 degrees around us, like above and below and everywhere. They're not all able to do that. Some might, but again, they're all different. So I had to explain that to her. I said, I don't know why that had to happen. I don't know why. I can't explain to you why he didn't say, hey, called, you need to pay attention to this. But it was what it was. And now Alan is saying to me right now, he says, we don't know what might have been another reason, a higher reason for that occurring, that she needed to experience and that's why it unfolded the way it did. So we shouldn't get angry at them like, why didn't you tell me? Like, we can't think that they're on guard 24/7 and know everything about everything. And also that we have to understand that we're here in life to experience some challenges. And so we're going to experience them one way or the other. And they cannot necessarily prevent that. He's saying, no, nor would they want to, because those challenges are how we grow. So, what guides and guardian angels will do is prevent what doesn't need to happen from happening. Like, they can step in with that. Like, all right, that's why they intervene. And people have expressed this, being saved, right? Like feeling a force pulling them back from the edge of the train track or something, or before they're about to trip. I felt myself almost falling one time when I was on vacation and by myself, and I could feel I was about to fall, and I felt Ellen pull me back up. I just felt this force put me right again, straight up, and I said, "Thank you." So they can do that because I wasn't meant to take that fall, obviously. But if, for example, maybe I was meant to experience that is part of my path, then he wouldn't have done that. Okay, so we can't expect them to prevent every tragedy from befalling us. I hope that you understand that. Here, let me go further than that. They cannot prevent challenges that are happening that we've pre-planned or that we've created through our limiting negative beliefs and actions, because actions also have consequences, right? So they can't in a way with that. Like they just can't. So we have to, Alan says, don't make them into God. They're not God. They're not here to wield all this power over. You have the power. And they want to remind us of that we have the power. Right? So they cannot override the laws of creation. I mentioned this earlier, because those laws are unbreakable. They cannot even be bent. Whereas a law such as a law of gravity is not one of the laws of creation, and therefore people can levitate. They've been proven to do that. So the laws of creation, again, cannot be broken, but all the other laws, even laws of physics, on the 3D world, can be bent because everything else in the physical world is malleable. They are created by our collective and personal beliefs, whether those beliefs are positive or negative. And if you change your belief, you can change your reality and your experience. That is how powerful you are. I know that a lot of people don't want to accept that. They'd rather believe that, they're powerless or they're victims. I don't know why, but some people don't want to take responsibility. Responsibility just means responding, that you're the one that can respond to this, that you're not, again, you're not tied up. You're not restricted. Your beliefs create everything. And that comes from your thinking. So somebody cannot get in your head and make you think something that you don't want to think. That's a choice that you make. It's all a choice. So let's quickly go over and review the laws of creation, which we've talked about before, just real quickly. Number one, you exist. Clearly, yeah, you're watching me. That means you exist. And if you exist, you will never cease to exist because, as scientists even will tell you now, once energy is created, it can never be destroyed, can never be uncreated. It can only change form, right? It can change form, like water might freeze and then melt again. Oops, this how the camera just keeps playing around. But in the end, it changes form, turns into vapor maybe, right, into mist, but it still remains water. It still has those components, right? So, and you can't ever destroy it. It's just going to turn into something else. It's just going to turn into mist and float away because you don't moved away. The mist was here and now the mist is on the other side of town, but it's still mist and it wasn't destroyed. Or maybe it falls as rain, right? So you exist, your loved one exists, and they'll never cease to exist. And they're a consciousness. So that means since they're a consciousness and you are one, that you can communicate consciousness to consciousness. Just as you have experience communicating with people who are still in a body, where you felt like you're in tune and you knew what they were thinking or they knew what you were thinking, right? Most people have had those experiences. I know I have. It's no different. Like I can talk to you mind to mind. Telepathy is basically being so in alignment with somebody vibrationally that their thoughts become your thoughts. You're thinking their thoughts as soon as they're thinking their thoughts. That's how telepathy works across the veil, right? And that's why some of you, especially with partners, because your energies were so merged, and because not always necessarily appropriate for that to happen, let's say with siblings or even parent and child. It depends. Every case is different. But in general, as you can imagine, when it comes to partners and spouses, your energies are so intertwined, and many of you have had lifetime after lifetime together, that when they cross over, it's like you're still intertwined. And you can't tell the difference between, is this my thought or their thought? And we talk about this in the academy, and I coach people about this. It takes you understanding what's going on here and paying attention to what is it that you're hearing or perceiving. Now, Alan wants to explain to you something. When I say I hear Alan or he just told me something, right? It's not like I heard his voice going, Pam, this and this and this and that. This one. No, it's like it just comes into my awareness and I know what he is saying. Everybody is different. Some people might actually hear their loved one talk like in their head, in their original voice. Other people might just know what their loved one is saying. Me, I just know it, but some people could hear it out here, in here. Everyone's different, right? But this is how I hear Alan. It's like I just know, and I've been doing this for so long. I decided early on, and this is what I would suggest you do too. I decided early on, I'm just going to believe in this 100%. That's it. I'm just going to trust in it 100% because I know that that's the only way to have it all. I have to go all in and believe it because I know what I'm up against is the collective programming, limiting beliefs of, society. And so the only way to rise above that is to go all in. And that is what I suggest to you if you want communication. Because if you believe you are hearing whoever it is you're wanting to hear from, you create that, plain and simple. I believe I'm hearing my husband clearly. I believe I know exactly what he's telling me. And I create that reality. It is that simple. And that's why I suggest that you go in fully with it and just say, I'm just going to believe. Because the minute you start doubting, you are tearing that down. You are pinching off your connection. Every thought you think manifests. So I suggest kicking doubt to the curb and completely trusting. Just go all in. If you want the highest experience, that is my advice to you. If you don't go all in, then you're going to kind of have this back and forth kind of a fluctuation with your connection. And that's what I see the majority of people having. Some people it's more extreme and everybody's different, right? So just go all in. Get rid of your fears. They exist. You exist. You'll always exist. Once somebody loves you, that's forever. Don't believe the negative programming out there, or maybe you've had bad experiences in love in the past and you think, well, love isn't real or it doesn't last. No, that's all an illusion of the 3D world. Once you love somebody, you cannot stop loving them because love is the nature of existence. So, how can you stop being who you are on that level? Number two, everything is here and now. Here, now, right here and now. Like I'm talking to you right here and now, right? This is all that is happening right here and now. Everything exists, meaning all of creation, meaning the afterlife, meaning all we have is this moment. The past is gone the minute I say the past is gone. Now we're on to the next moment. So the past doesn't exist in that sense. You can revisit in your mind. You can go to the past but you're going to it. Notice you're revisiting the past from the present, right? That's all you can do. I'm going back in my mind, imagining the past from the present moment. And if you try to look for your loved one in the past, yes, you could see them there, but that's not really where they are anymore. Somebody asked me in our group, like, oh, do they not remember? Like, of course they remember. They have all their memories, but they're not there anymore because they're here and now, here and now. So if you want connection, then you better stay focused on the here and now. Let go of the past. You learned everything you needed to learn from what you went through. You'll have all your memories, the happy memories that you want to hang on to, and maybe even the bad ones if you want to hang on to those. You'll never lose them, but don't live in those memories because you cannot live in the past. You can only live in the past in the present. So why would you do that? If you want to connect with them, stay in the now. Right here, right now is where they exist. The more you live in the moment and go with the flow of the moment, the more you can experience them. If you keep going to the past or going to the future, you won't experience them as much. You just won't because they're not in the future and they're not in the past. So it depends. What do you want to do this for? Right? Do you want to just spend your life mulling over the past? Go right ahead, but you're not going to really connect with them. And in the end, it's not going to really be fulfilling. Okay. Number three, the one is the all, and the all are the one. The one representing all that is, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. Okay. God is the all meaning you, me, everything that exists, every particle, every rock, tree, plant, creature, atom, everything. The all is God, right? The one is the all, and God, the all, are the one. I mean, all of us are the one. We're part of God. So you cannot not be part of God. The fact that you exist means that creation needs you because God doesn't make mistakes. So if you're here, there's a reason you're here. You're fulfilling a purpose. You're part of the puzzle. You're a puzzle piece that fits in the grand puzzle that is all of existence. And existence cannot be existence without you. That's what it is. So to think that you're unworthy is to actually step outside this idea that you're part of creation. But wow, are you so different, so special that you're greater than God? Because you're kind of saying that. Because if everybody else is part of creation and you're the only piece of the puzzle that isn't, wow, you really are special. But and you are special, but not in that way. Right? Number four, what you put out is what you get back. This is basically law of attraction, which isn't quite how it works. And not like you really attract anything, but what it means is what you put out, meaning what thoughts you put out, right? Actions you take, because that's something you're putting out, right? It's not just like, when even your thoughts that you're holding in your head, they're being broadcast because you can't not do that. even if you didn't talk to anybody, but you're walking around thinking all these thoughts that are limiting or negative or fearful, you're beaming that out because the universe hears you and is responding to you. The universe is interactive. So whatever you're thinking is never hidden from creation. And so you're putting it out there, whether you speak it aloud or you write it on paper or you just think it in your mind. You are putting it out there and it's going to come back. Always. There's no other way it can be, right? That's why your outer reality is always a perfect reflection of what you are holding within yourself, your thoughts, your beliefs. And then a lot of times those beliefs result in actions you take, right? So that too, your actions will be mirrored in the physical world. So you're only experience what you have put out earlier, right? That's but it is. You can't change that law. And the fifth law is everything changes in life except the first four laws that we just talked about. Everything changes. And so here I want to end with that the fact that everything changes because those of you who are grieving, your loved one is now transitioned, and that's a big change. I understand that. But this is part of the laws of creation that at some point that's going to change. You and I are not going to be here forever either. And that's why I say that you have to open up to understanding what creation is about, what who you really are, what are you, why are you here, what is life for, and that you are a spirit and that you're going to return to being a spirit. In fact, you already right now are a spirit on the other side with them. You are. You're a spirit right now. You only are partially here, let's say. That's not quite accurate, but you've expressed part of yourself into this body, into this world. And the greater part of you has always going to remain in the spirit world, is there right this moment. Right. So when you understand that everything changes and you cannot be destroyed, and the love that you felt for your family member, your partner, your friend, whoever that person might be, that love is not gone. And the communication doesn't have to be gone either. That doesn't have to end. Nothing has to end except the physical contact that you're familiar with. There can be a new type of physical contact as members of our program have experienced. Okay. And I truly believe, because spirits told me, that people are going to push past the boundaries of their limiting beliefs and experience all kinds of phenomena through the veil with their loved ones. Because that's the only limiting thing is your belief. That's it. If you believe anything's possible, then anything really is possible. It truly is. It's what's going to happen will be only limited by, again, your soul plan, if you had one related to this, or your limiting belief. You are the creator of your reality, of your experience. You and nobody else. Nobody can jump in your head and think for you, believe for you, or create for you. They can influence you, and what we're trying to do is be a positive influence on you, but you can reject it and say, that's ridiculous, or I don't want to do that. Great. Don't do it. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, right? We're just here to share what we know to be true, but nobody has to agree with us. I'm not attached to any of it. I've been doing this work for so many years. How could I ever be attached to it? There's a lot of people that are just going to run away and hide and say, this lady is completely nuts. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Right. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our channel. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Let us know what you think about this video. We've got some other videos coming that are meditations, that are talking about other topics. Some of them are going to be shorter, to give you like bite-sized chunks of information, I guess, or piece of inspiration, whatever you want to call it. Right. So, Okay, thanks, CE. She says, we don't think you're nuts, spam. Well, I hope not. Nuts doesn't mean really that you're crazy. It just means that you're living outside of the parameters of what, the majority believe to be true, right? And that doesn't mean you're crazy. In time, what you and I were talking about here on this channel will become the new normal. And people will go, well, of course we know you can communicate with loved ones in the spirit world. We see them all the time. Of course I know I'm psychic. Everybody's psychic. That day is coming. It's upon us. But right now, we're on that leading edge of it. And so, I understand that most people are not ready for it. And again, if you want help with this is what we're here for. Look in the description box below. There's many ways to work with us, one-on-one, in our program. We're also considering, we'd like your input, maybe in the comments, we're considering doing a YouTube membership, which would be very low cost. And we'll let you know. In that membership, we would be sharing some of, not all, but some of our Academy videos. Because Spirit told me, I've got, I think, something like 170 videos over the past so many years. And they're saying I should be sharing that content more, but it's really difficult to share it outside of the Academy program. So I think we're going to look at coming at you with a YouTube membership program to reach more people, because that's our passion, is to help as many people as possible understand that there is no death. You can stay connected, and you're here for the awakening. So guess what? Might as well wake up, raise your vibration, and live a happier life, no matter what is happening externally. And I know the world's kind of crazy right now. You can ride the storm. I know right now, as I'm talking today, the Hurricane Milton is bearing down on Florida, literally a storm. And but symbolically, the planet is in its own storm. And our loved ones want to help us weather that storm. And they can, right? But it takes focus, it takes determination, it takes remaining positive no matter what is happening. And we're just here to help you do that. Right. So till next time, I got to go. I'm like late for our Academy class. So we'll see you next time. Take care. Until then. All right. Bye-bye.